Welcome to the Daily Globe. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. In a moment that will be etched into American history, the eyes of the nation turn to the marble steps of the Supreme Court. The anticipation is palpable, as millions wait to hear a decision that could reshape the very fabric of American society. The air is thick with tension, and the sense of gravity is unmistakable. This is not just another day in Washington. Today, the Supreme Court has delivered a landmark ruling that echoes across the nation, reverberating through every state, every city, and every home. The decision is more than a legal pronouncement. It is a turning point that will define a generation. On November 1st, 2025, the 9 justices handed down a unanimous decision, affirming the constitutionality of specific firearm confiscation measures and fundamentally shifting the Second Amendment debate. Their ruling, meticulously crafted and debated behind closed doors, signals a new era in American law and culture. For the first time in decades, the highest court has spoken with one voice on an issue that has long divided the nation. The world is watching as the U.S. embarks on a new chapter in its relationship with firearms. International leaders, legal scholars, and everyday citizens alike are tuning in, aware that the ripple effects of this decision will be felt far beyond American borders. The United States, often seen as a bellwether for democratic values and individual rights, now stands at a crossroads. This ruling is the result of tragic events that have shaken communities, shifting public sentiment that demanded action, and bold state-level experiments that tested the boundaries of the law. The path to this moment has been paved with heartbreak, activism, and fierce debate, each step bringing the nation closer to this historic day. The core question: how does a society balance the right to bear arms with the right to live free from fear? This dilemma has haunted lawmakers, families, and law enforcement for generations. Now, the Supreme Court's decision forces every American to confront this question anew, as the boundaries of freedom and safety are redrawn. Today, the highest court has provided an answer, one that will be debated for years to come. Legal experts will pore over every word, politicians will stake their careers on its interpretation, and citizens will grapple with its consequences in their daily lives. For law enforcement, it's a new tool, a mandate that could change the way officers protect communities and enforce the law. Departments across the country will now face new responsibilities, new challenges, and new scrutiny as they implement the court's decision. For gun owners, it is a challenge to rights long considered sacred. Many will feel uncertainty, frustration, and even fear as they navigate a new legal landscape. The meaning of responsible gun ownership is being redefined, and the implications will be deeply personal for millions. For politicians, the battlefield has been redrawn. The debate over gun control and Second Amendment rights will intensify, shaping campaigns, legislation, and the national conversation for years to come. Every elected official will be called to take a stand. As the nation processes this historic moment, one thing is certain: the conversation about guns in America has changed forever. In living rooms, town halls, and online forums, Americans are asking new questions and seeking new answers. The story is far from over. The gavel has fallen, and its echo will be heard for generations. The future is uncertain, but history is being written right now. Firearm confiscation has always been a flashpoint in American discourse, touching the nation's core identity. The Second Amendment's meaning has been fiercely debated, but federal oversight was limited for much of history. Mass shootings and rising violence led to new laws, like red flag statutes, allowing temporary removal of firearms from those deemed dangerous. Supreme Court cases like Heller and Rahimi set the stage, affirming gun rights but also allowing for restrictions based on dangerousness. These precedents paved the way for the court's most consequential decision yet. Tragedy often drives legal change, as seen with Nevada's aggressive firearm confiscation law. Effective July 2025, it allowed police to immediately confiscate firearms from individuals on emergency mental health holds before a court order. The urgency was underscored by the Manhattan office shooting, where the gunman, previously placed on psychiatric holds, retained his weapons due to legal gaps. Supporters argued immediate intervention was essential for public safety. Opponents decried it as a violation of constitutional rights and due process. The law's "seize first, ask later" approach ignited national debate. This conflict between public safety and individual rights propelled the issue to the Supreme Court. Nevada's law became the test case for the nation, United States versus Miller was a landmark case that brought Nevada's controversial firearms seizure law before the highest court in the land. The federal government threw its weight behind Nevada, supporting the state's approach to handling firearms during mental health emergencies. This case would test the boundaries of the Second Amendment and force the nation to confront the delicate balance between individual rights and public safety. The government's argument was clear. In situations where someone is experiencing a mental health crisis, temporarily removing their firearms, even before a formal hearing, can be a necessary and reasonable exception to the right to bear arms. They insisted that these emergency actions were not about punishing gun owners, but about preventing tragedies and saving lives when time is of the essence. On the other side, challengers to the law sounded the alarm. They warned that allowing the government to seize firearms without a prior hearing could erode the bedrock principle of due process. Protesters and civil liberties advocates argued that this law set a dangerous precedent, opening the door to future abuses and undermining constitutional protections for all Americans. In response, the government emphasized that mental health holds are not arbitrary. They are formal, medically supervised events. Temporary firearm removal, they argued, is a carefully considered, preventative safety measure, not a permanent deprivation of rights. The goal is to protect both the individual in crisis and the broader community from potential harm. The tragic Tamura case was cited as a sobering example of what can happen when warning signs are missed and action isn't taken in time. Supporters of the law pointed to this case as proof that intervention can save lives and prevent future heartbreak. In a surprising and historic decision, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously. The justices affirmed that while the right to bear arms is indeed fundamental to American liberty, it is not without limits. The court recognized that, in rare and urgent circumstances, temporary restrictions can be justified to protect the public. The court concluded that temporary seizure of firearms from individuals placed on psychiatric holds is a legitimate and reasonable measure. This action, they said, is designed to prevent immediate harm and is not meant to permanently strip anyone of their constitutional rights. Crucially, the justices stressed that these seizures must be brief and followed by prompt post-confiscation hearings. This ensures that due process is respected and that individuals have a fair opportunity to challenge the removal of their firearms in court. The verdict not only upheld Nevada's law, but also set a powerful national precedent, affirming that public safety and constitutional rights can coexist, as long as the law is carefully crafted and due process is preserved. The Supreme Court's decision sent shockwaves through Washington. The White House praised the ruling as a victory for public safety, urging states to follow Nevada's lead. Democrats lauded the court's wisdom and began drafting federal incentives for similar laws. Many Republicans condemned the decision as a betrayal of the Second Amendment, warning of government overreach. Gun safety groups celebrated a historic breakthrough, while gun rights organizations vowed fierce resistance. Governors and attorneys general now face pressure to act. Blue states rush to adopt new laws. Red states vow resistance. The debate has shifted from the courts to 50 state houses. The legal battle is over. The political fight has just begun. The ruling's economic impact is immediate and far-reaching. Gun manufacturer stocks fluctuated, with fears of new restrictions and legal risks clouding the industry's future. Retailers now face a patchwork of laws and potential liability for future confiscations. Gun owners worry about declining firearm values, higher insurance premiums, and new legal costs if their property is seized. States adopting these laws may see changes in tourism and sporting events, while others position themselves as Second Amendment sanctuaries. The firearms industry must adapt to a new landscape shaped by government-sanctioned risk. The economic geography of American gun ownership is being redrawn. The social impact of the ruling is profound, deepening America's cultural divide over guns. The unanimous verdict has left many gun rights supporters feeling abandoned, while others see hope for safer communities. Police now have new powers, but also face greater risks and community distrust during confiscations. Families are caught in painful dilemmas. Reporting a loved one in crisis can shatter trust and relationships. The law brings mental health into the legal spotlight, forcing society to confront how it balances safety and rights. Proponents hope for better mental health care. Opponents fear people will avoid treatment to keep their firearms. The ruling forces a national reckoning with mental health, rights, and public safety. Across the country, legal experts are closely parsing the Supreme Court's recent ruling, seeking to understand not just its immediate effects, but also its far-reaching implications for constitutional law and public safety. The decision has sparked intense debate in academic circles, legal forums, and policy think tanks, as scholars weigh the balance between individual rights and collective security. Professor Lawrence Tribe, a renowned constitutional scholar, points out that the court's unanimous decision sends a powerful and unified message. While the Second Amendment protects individual rights, it is not without limits, especially when there are credible, imminent threats to public safety. Tribe emphasizes that this consensus among justices underscores the seriousness with which the court views the need to prevent harm, even as it upholds constitutional protections. Professor Jonathan Turley, another leading legal voice, cautions that the true test of the ruling will be in its implementation. He warns that due process is only meaningful if states provide prompt and fair hearings for those affected. If states impose unnecessary delays or create unfair burdens, they risk violating the very rights the court sought to protect. Turley stresses that vigilance is needed to ensure the ruling is applied justly. Dr. Anya Sharma, an expert in public policy, interprets the decision as a significant shift toward a risk-based legal model. She believes the ruling validates proactive state intervention, allowing authorities to act before tragedy strikes, rather than after. Sharma notes that this approach could help prevent violence and save lives, provided it is implemented with care and respect for civil liberties. The Supreme Court's decision could also spur much-needed innovation in how mental health services, social work, and law enforcement collaborate. By encouraging integrated approaches, the ruling opens the door for new partnerships and strategies that address the root causes of violence, rather than relying solely on punitive measures. Second Amendment scholars agree that the decision clarifies the court's earlier Bruin precedent, rather than contradicting it. They argue that the ruling provides important guidance on how courts should evaluate gun regulations, especially those aimed at preventing harm from individuals deemed dangerous. David French, a prominent legal commentator, highlights that the court found a long-standing tradition of temporarily disarming individuals who pose a clear danger. This, he says, helps define the boundaries of the Second Amendment, making it clear that public safety can justify certain restrictions, so long as they are carefully tailored and subject to judicial review. With the Supreme Court's guidance now established, the debate shifts from whether such laws are constitutional to how they should be applied in practice. Lawmakers, judges, and advocates will now grapple with the details, ensuring that new policies are both effective and fair. Ultimately, this ruling lays a new legal foundation for balancing the right to bear arms with the urgent need to protect public safety, setting the stage for future debates and legal challenges across the nation. The Supreme Court's decision closes one chapter of the gun debate and opens another. The focus now shifts from abstract arguments to real-world implementation in legislatures, communities, and families. Lawmakers must craft policies that prevent violence while protecting due process. The success of this framework depends on fair execution and constant vigilance. Americans must reflect on what safety and liberty mean in this new era. The court has spoken, but the story is far from over. This is a new starting point. The future of the Second Amendment now rests with the people, not just the justices. How the nation responds will define its character for years to come.